Thank you to our education officials from Lansing, the Michigan Department of Education, our State Board of Education. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. And our representative from the Intermediate School District and State of Dr. Vicky Markovich, Ms. Teresa Umstadt. Would you please stand? Thank you for being here. We have representatives here tonight from our churches. Could all of our clergy please stand, if you will? Thank you. Thank you so much for your support and continuous prayers. If we have representatives here from our surrounding cities and school districts, please stand and be recognized at this time. Thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, these last few years have been monumental in the multiplicity of tasks and accomplishments that have taken place in our Pontiac School District. We have been hard at work and painstakingly taken on challenge after challenge to cut to the core of what has caused our once great school district to literally unravel at the seams. The board has taken some bold and not so popular steps. We have miraculously completed merging our schools and streamlining by 50% in a record time of 10 months. We also commissioned and completed a forensic audit and to take a close look at the last 4 years in our school district. I'll be presenting and welcoming to the stage now Mr. Daryl Hurley from P&H Consulting Group will now share with you the top 10 significant of the audit findings, and if you can please welcome Mr. Daryl Hurley.
Good evening. P&H Consulting Group was retained at the request of Pontiac School District Board of Education by a unanimous vote 7-0 at a special meeting Tuesday, September 29th, 2009 to validate the accounts payable payments that were authorized in accordance with the applicable policies. In addition, a separate audit was requested to review the payroll cycle. The objective was to review accounts payable and payroll transactions to determine the various parts that were non-compliant, the types of non-compliant activity, the people responsible for the non-compliance, and the financial impact of that non-compliance. As requested by the client, we were engaged to exclude school activity funds and determine all variances and irregularities by their very nature to determine any hidden or, we were requested by the client to determine any irregularities in the accounts payable and payroll departments. The scope of work was all cash disbursements from all bank accounts, all accounts payable bank accounts from July 1st, 2005 through September 30th, 2009. We looked at expense reports, credit cards, bank reconciliations, bank wires and ACHs, and missing checks. When looking at payroll, we came up with 5 significant areas of deficiencies. Lack of appropriate approval. Over a 2-year period, we found 14 for $17,411. For payroll documentation errors, we found 101 instances for a little over $133,000. Pay rate issues, we found 12 for a little over $11,000. Payroll processing errors, we found 5 for $5,708. Personnel processing errors, we found 2 for $5,800. Absence days not recorded, we found 74 for a little over $86,000. Personnel record issues, we found 35 for a little over $42,000. Discrepancy hours paid versus support, we found 13 for a little over $12,000. And discrepancies with expense reimbursements, we found 8 for almost $17,000. These all happened over a 2-year period. An example of lack of appropriate approval, lack of a superintendent's approval on a one-time pay sheet. An example of a payroll documentation error was an incorrect pay rate on a one-time pay sheet for several job codes. A pay rate issue where an employee was paid $375 an hour for a 2-hour workshop. A payroll processing error where an employee was overpaid due to a payroll data entry error. And a personnel processing error where an employee was overpaid due to a payment for standard hours and hours on a one-time pay sheet. Absent days not recorded, absentee days included on the timesheet were not deducted from that employee's payroll register. Personnel record issues, an active employee that showed up on a employee terminated list. Discrepancy in hours paid versus what was supported. An employee was paid 136 hours when the timesheet was only approved for 56 hours. And lastly, a discrepancy with an expense report. Employee was issued a cash advance and never submitted the receipts or repaid the advance. When we look at accounts payable, we found 9 significant high-risk issues as well. Signatures by an unauthorized person, we found 17,207 instances for over $86 million. This audit was done over a 4-year period. Proper documentation not attached for payment and or approval, we found 3,088 errors for over $13 million. Invoices paid without board approval, we found 805, totaling over $22 million. Employees not following documented policy thresholds for purchases, we found 5,900 errors for $33,286,688. Duplicate payments, we found 33 for $91,178. Existing expense reimbursements for policies that were not properly enforced, we found 107 errors, totaling $27,000. No formal policy exists for credit card use, we found 106 errors for $275,000. And vendor payments that exceeded the purchase order amount, we found 543 examples, totaling $796,000. We also noted that the monthly bank reconciliations were inadequate as well. An example of a purchase not authorized or authorized by an unauthorized person, in the year 2007-2008, a vendor's contract was not properly approved by the board. In an instance of a proper documentation that's not attached to 2007-2008 school year, and a vendor's invoice didn't have the PO attached as per the purchasing policy. Paid without board approval, 2007-2008 school year, an outside school district was paid for international academy tuition for May and December. An employee not following documented policy thresholds, 2009-2010 school year, vendor PO was not created for the 2 police officers that are assigned to the school district. An example of duplicate payment, in 2007-2008, a vendor was paid for a past due balance on an invoice that had already been paid. Existing expense reimbursement policies in 2006-2007, a former school board member was scheduled to attend a conference in California and was reimbursed for the hotel room, but did not attend the conference. No formal policy exists for credit card use. Numerous examples of individuals authorizing their own credit card charges. There's no checks and balances with this process. Vendor payments exceed purchase order. In 2008-2009, the vendor's invoice exceeded the PO amount, the approved PO amount. And we talked about inadequate monthly bank reconciliations. They're not prepared in a timely manner. Journal entries are not completed until year end, and miscellaneous adjustments are made to balance the books to the bank balance. Next steps were to restructure the current finance and human resource staff, align the jobs and qualifications to the skill sets, convert all positions to classified positions with appropriate state of Michigan bonding, identify and implement key controls to mitigate risk, implement policy and procedure changes and action plans, and implement a software system that integrates human resources and payroll relative to controls and accuracy.